Good evening and welcome to the October 7th, 2021 South Haven Planning Commission meeting. I call this meeting to order. Marcia, if you'd please call the roll.
Clark Gruber,
Here.
Larry Heinig,
Here.
Todd Heinrich,
Here.
Michael Neese,
Here.
Amy Nichols,
Here.
Elijah Hanny,
Here.
George Sleeper, Janice Varney,
Here.
Tim Stegman.
Here. Next up, we'll have the approval of the agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
I second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the agenda. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion's carried. The agenda is approved. Next up, we'll have approval of the meeting minutes, September 2nd regular meeting and a September 2nd workshop meeting. You can make a motion for both at the same time or split them if you wish.
Mr. Chairman, I move to approve the minutes of September 2nd regular meeting and September 2nd workshop meeting as printed.
Second.
It's been moved and supported to approve the September 2nd regular and workshop meeting minutes. Any other discussion? There being no further discussion, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Minutes are approved. Next up, we have item 5, which is interested citizens in the audience will be heard on items not on this agenda. Is there anybody who wishes to speak? If so, please come up to the podium, state your name and address, and you'll have 5 minutes to talk to the Planning Commission.
Dan Agnello, 964 Everett Parkway in Trailside. I'd like to comment on the building ordinance about height. I noticed that in order to determine height, you don't just take the elevation of the sidewalk or the street or elevation in front of the house. You actually are allowed to take 5 feet from the back of the house, whatever it is, to the highest elevation. And we have this problem on the lots 17 to 20 on Elkenberg because that's the slope for the existing drainage field or drain pond, and that's like 10 feet high. So they can take the average of 5 feet, so they're allowed to build 39-foot house. Now, I talked to Travis, saw the plans, and they could be monitoring that, but what's to prevent someone from building a walkout basement that has a 20-foot walkout, and that means they can have 10 feet starting their calculations, and they can have a 45 or 50-foot house. So I think you're going to have to take a look at that ordinance and say, okay, the maximum difference from the front to the back elevation can only be 5 feet or 10 feet or something like that. Otherwise, you know, your 39 feet means nothing because, like I said, you could have a 2-story, 3-story walkout, 50, 55-foot house, according to the way the ordinance is written, okay? So maybe something to think about. And, you know, these 4 houses, at least the first 2 going in 19 and 20, last 19 and 20, they look like real houses you see in Virginia or San Francisco because they're 3 stories high. Okay, thank you for your time.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? Seeing none, we'll move on to old business. Oh, come up.
Mary Hasley, 726 North Shore Drive. Just a question if we have any anticipated date by when the site plan for the Overton matter will come before the Planning Commission. I've seen some estimates and we're long past that date. Is there anything that can be shared?
I'm not aware of any plans that have come forth. I'm probably 3, 4, 5 months out. I don't even think there's a purchase agreement yet, is there?
No.
Yeah, I don't think it's this board that is aware of that. They would work with staff, so when staff tells us, we would know.
Well, and staff is here. So.
We don't have any plans.
Okay. Thanks.
All right, anyone else? Seeing none, we'll move on to old business, New Everett Park Phase 2 PUD amendment. Travis or Brad?
So this is an item that's being brought forth by Mr. Matt O'Connor. This item was originally on your agenda in August. The developer chose to make some modifications to what he was proposing based on what was included in that staff report and the engineering report. Those modifications are what you're seeing before you tonight. And so this is in essence a continuation of the public hearing that was opened on that date. We've allowed the public hearing then to remain open, and then tonight will be the continuation of that hearing, and then the conclusion, and then the planning commission will have the opportunity to take whatever action it might desire to take this evening. So the developer is here to speak with the commission tonight about items in the staff report, and unless there's any other questions, I would say we can take public comment, so.
Okay, so first up, the public hearing is still open. And do we want to hear from the developer? Do you have questions you want to ask? Or do you want to have public comment first?
Public comment.
Public comment? Okay, is there anybody who, in the audience that'd like to speak on this item?
We'd like to hear from the developer first, please, and hear what they have to say so we can ask appropriate questions.
That makes sense.
Okay,
Is that,
sure. Where's he at? Oh, there you are. All right, why don't you tell us about your project? Do you
Sure.
need a visual?
Well, it'd probably be helpful if we pull that up, Travis.
And we're probably looking for page 23.
Tim, I just wanted to mention too, just as I'm getting this pulled up here, we did want to make note that there was a mention in the staff report of no sidewalk being indicated on the site plan along St. Joseph Street. That sidewalk is actually indicated on the plan, so we just wanted to make sure that that was clear to the commission here before you start your discussion.
Okay.
Thanks, Travis. There, yeah, that's good. So currently we're developing phase one, which would be lots 1 to 20, or have developed, under construction on lots 19 and 20 right now. The application in front of you this evening is to amend the PUD and add lots 21 to 29 and lots 30 to 40 along St. Joe. So there's a lot of detail in the staff report. I'm happy to address each of those points if that's helpful.
Does anybody have any questions about what's being proposed?
I just want to double check then. So the 21 to 29 add, those is a revision from the approved site or PUD from duplexes to single-family homes?
Correct.
Okay.
I have a question. I'm not sure it's for Matt or for staff, but on page 12, there's a sentence that says, if the original PUD density involved a density bonus, then lot and yard requirements may have been reduced as a result. I guess my question is, was there a density bonus?
Nothing that we found in the records indicated that there was a density bonus given at the time for that. The records altogether from, I mean, we have the minutes from the city council meetings back in 2006 when they were approved, and I think we've provided those to you all before to review. But as you can read from them, they're fairly vague on those indications.
Thanks, Brett.
Anyone else?
Just want to clarify, we are going to have a discussion about this when we close the public hearing as a commission. So
Now's the time to ask questions.
questions of the owner. All right. I'm not going to get into details on this. But I've only been on this commission for a couple of years, less than 2 years. You came last year and had a different plan that included duplexes. When I went back and looked at it from 2006, it was a very different application then. And I understand that you weren't the applicant then. You've taken it on. As I think you're aware of South Haven's, you must read the paper and things. We're in desperate need of affordable housing. We're calling it the missing middle. That includes doctors that can't afford to live here. So when I see the more affordable bits of this being displaced by more expensive ones, it concerns me. And my understanding with the PUD is that the city relaxes, if you will, might not be the best word, relax, but
Sure, no, I understand.
many of the requirements in order to work in a cooperative effort with the property developer in order to meet the property owner's needs, financial, and also the community's and the neighborhood's needs. And it seems as though we're on a path where all of the more affordable things are going away. When I look at it, things that are built, I think some of the houses that are built are for sale, so they're built speculatively. And nobody's tried to build duplexes or apartment buildings or anything like that to build them and rent them. And it seems to me that if you want no risk in this, single-family homes is probably the way to go. But that's not the agreement that the city entered into with the original developer. And now you're here.
Sure.
Many years later, and I'm wondering what you could tell me about that.
Yeah, again, I wasn't involved in 2006. I can tell you that's about there's still about 75% of the project that's still vacant land. This initial PUD back in 2006 was approved at 8 phases. We've done the first phase. We're asking to do the second phase. It's an organic process. I mean, we have to be responsible developers to the community to provide a quality product that makes sense, and we'll continue to bring families here, and we'll bring new residents. Our intention has always been to have a multitude of uses there, somewhat consistent with the original plan, not exactly to the original plan because 15, 16 years have passed. So we intend to have a diverse stock of housing there. And again, there's 75% of this is still in the phase 2 of phase 8, or, I don't know how many phases it'll be, so.
Okay. So you're anticipating 5 or 6 more phases?
Well, the original one was 8, so and this has taken about 4 years to get to phase 2, so.
Okay.
And I mean, yeah, to answer your question, I mean, we did build an apartment building downtown, so, I mean, we have added, we're multifamily, have a facet of our business as well, so we would like to have a piece of this be a multifamily at some point, but given the market right now, this makes the most sense.
I can follow.
I share Todd's concern as well, because it is 15 years ago that this was approved. And I'm thinking, as we're moving forward, I see the lots or the units between 16 and 20 are now being proposed to be sold for about $700,000. So that's going the other way of the market rather than, looking at the middle end of it. I think I would feel more comfortable if we could see a complete plan of your vision of what will follow, rather than the piecemeal plan that we're given right now. I understand your reasoning. I understand you're following the market. However, when this was first proposed, the multi-family plan was part of it. And to see it not being actualized, not even on paper at this point, I find somewhat distressing.
Mike?
Matt, I'll follow along with that. I think certainly the sentiment that comes to mind when I read through it is PUDs do grant some preferences, some alternatives, some different uses to a developer, but it's always a quid pro quo. For that, the city gets back some things that we may not have the ability to do unless we achieve that agreement, such as build affordable housing. We know in today's market, that's not where the prime money is. So I guess my concern is stated along with the others. Certainly we work with you, Matt, and I have no question about your integrity, but it feels like, is this again another time the city's going to have to pass this on a hope and prayer that the developer will live up to the original intent, even though it's not a legal intent? The original intent of the PUD was to have senior housing, was to have multifamily apartment housing, and multifamily residences as well. And I'm just concerned that this phase-by-phase approach will get to the point where maybe it's time for Matt to move along and some other developer is going to take it over in phase 3. And eventually we're going to lose what was the city's intention of granting the PUD in the beginning, in the first place. So I guess we're looking for a little comfort from you, Matt, that it's still your intention. And I do know you and I have talked, and I'm grateful for that you do have expertise in multifamily. You've got expertise in apartment buildings. Something you could do, you're the developer that could do that with that property. So is there any kind of assurance that that's still part of the plan? Or is it maybe?
No, our intention is to have a diverse amount of housing there. Again, we're 30% into a 100% project. So our plan is to follow RJ's, the former developer's plan to a certain extent. And again, been working with Travis and Brad I'm happy to show a master plan on what that is. RJ also showed you guys a master plan in 2006 that didn't work, and that's why we bought it from the bank. So I'm happy to show that plan to you. Yes, we will have a diverse amount of housing there. The purpose of this meeting, to me, is that we want to progress from phase 1 to phase 2 of several phases. And this seems to make practical sense just based on the infrastructure that, frankly, we inherited when we bought it from the bank.
Understood.
And I think it's a positive addition to the community.
Yeah, again, even you in your remarks to us, in your written remarks, said you were looking forward to talking about the PUD objectives.
Yeah.
Especially number 7, which is what we're talking about here.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the discussion's healthy. Understand this is about phase 2, but even that small change, change happens bit by bit. It's not dramatic change.
Sure.
All of a sudden you wake up one day and there it is. A series of small cuts leads to a massive bleed. So even the change from multifamily to single residences it's another. I'm not saying it's the wrong thing to do, Matt.
Mm-hmm.
But it is a little bit of the city given even more. So we just want some assurance that you haven't lost.
We have no intention of this being 100% single-family homes.
But the lots that were slated, you're here tonight to ask that the lots that were slated for multifamily be converted to single-family.
Correct.
That's my point.
No, I understand.
Appreciate it.
So, Matt, I think it would be helpful for me, and you had suggested we might like to see the bigger plan at some point that you have in your mind for this area.
No, I understand, and that we've followed RJ. I mean, it's going to be very similar to what RJ had initially proposed. Again, this is the third time we've been here. I mean, maybe Brad can chime in here, but I mean, that's why I've been working with Travis and Brad to, this was kind of what I was recommended to propose to the group. So, I mean, again, I'm happy to show you a version of RJ's plan that we intend to do. My understanding was this was a simple exercise to just help understand what Phase 2 of 8 looks like. And again, it's an organic process. It's going to evolve over time, just like RJ's did. I mean, if RJ's would have happened in 2006 to 7, then we wouldn't be sitting here, but now it's 2021, and so.
But most of his plan is here. I mean, most of that first phase is in fact what he had proposed. The changes were you took 13 through 16 and turned those into single family and then added 17, 18, 19, and 20. Although those could have come in the next phase, which I think, there was a need, especially along the St. Joe Street. I think that's what was intended. It would be easier. The road's already there. I think that's really logical. What I'm looking at, though, is we already went with changing 13 through 16 from a duplex or twin homes or dual homes. There's a way to set those up such that each one is actually sold differently, not as a unit with two sides. And I think what that's going to provide is some of that missing middle, especially from a transitional. When we talk about that, we've got the single family on this side, and suddenly we come into the transitional before we get into the apartments and the other parts, is probably why that was, smaller units, more affordable units along that part of Phase 2, and now we're seeing this. So, I think it's right in that PUDs allow the ability to do some things. RJ had the ability to tackle this property, which he did, and he did some things to assist getting it to the next piece. Part of that was the mixed-use, multi-types of housing here. I think we helped out, converted 4 of the units from more affordable type housing to the single family. We then turned around and took the green space that was originally part of the project, turned 4 of those into single family homes. Now I think it's time, instead of continuing to go then additional changes and always pushing things out, I think it's time to show us, here's that transitional piece. I'm going to put in some dual homes, and there's ways to make those sold separately, so they're not sold as a unit and then rented out separately. Well, we can do that in Michigan. I think Brad has some examples of that type of stuff. I talked to realtors in town. They would love the opportunity to sell that. They said, we'd like to sell that to our friends, the people that we work with, the people that when we go out in the evening, the newer professionals that are coming in doing the loans would love to have opportunities to have those types of opportunities as opposed to the others. Now, we're making that happen, and I think that's one of the things a consultant said, is allow individuals to build these types of homes, and then they won't go in, buy out small houses and make big mansions or do what they want to do because they've got the wealth to do that. But I think now it's the time to take the 21 to 29 and keep what was originally slotted for that piece and make the changes in the other. So that's kind of where I think I'm coming from, because I was been told that I'm going to do that. Well, now it's the time to do that, I think.
I kind of agree with you, Clark. I wasn't around when RJ's plan was there, but I look at this, and since I've been on planning, you've changed everything, every plan, everything, and I'm really, really hesitant to approve changing affordable missing middle housing to $700,000 houses. I just don't think that's going to serve our neighborhoods and our families and the people that we are here to serve. I just think that's wrong. But it does seem a little difficult to make some of these decisions without a full site plan, without a full plan in front of us. And I think it would behoove you to do that at any other things we have to talk about, because it's really hard to figure out what's happening with just Phase 1 and Phase 2.
Anyone else? Good for right now? Okay. Thanks, Matt.
We'll have a, can I comment after the?
Oh, sure. I imagine you'll be back up again, too. Okay, is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak? Name, address, and you have 5 minutes.
Dan Agnello, 964 Everett Parkway. First of all, I think this is only the first meeting. It says it's a second review, but the first meeting did not have a site plan, so I don't think that applies, that that's actually the first one. There's also a mistake on the drawing. If you look at the drainage drawing, it shows that the manhole that's in the drainage pond Elworth has a 30-inch drain. The detail in the manhole says 36. I think it's a 30. The drafter just brought a detail from some other drawing, pulled it in, so just got to make a change on that drawing. I want to talk about drainage and the environment and things like that. First of all, right now where the numbers are 21 to 29 on Everett across from my house, there is a swale where those numbers are right now, and that swale contains all the water that's in which we call Phase 2, and it drains into a little pond there that goes into a catch basin that comes under the street, goes to cable, goes to retention pond. Now they're going to have between those two houses, you see there's going to be a 15-inch pipe that goes to there, and it goes to 3 catch basins on the alley, which is fine. But the topography goes from east to west. That water's going to drain from Indiana all the way to Everett. And I'm not sure those catch basins are going to be able to handle it. I don't know what the staging is for that swale, but the swale goes on both sides of that little pond there. So something to think about. Also, the drainage on the alley on the houses on St. Joe, there's only one catch basin in the south end. You can see right there a little T is. There's no catch basins for that 6-inch line on the north end. I would think there'd be at least 1 or 2 catch basins in that alley. And that property drains from like the northeast to the southwest, so it'll eventually get into that drainage pond. Parking. I assume, Matt, that you guys made an exception to the back, 5 feet or whatever it is from the back of the lot to the alley. I assume there's going to be a 15-foot alley there, or driveway, because you're going to have to be able to park 4 cars there, 2 in the driveway and 2 in the garage right now. You haven't allowed for short-term rentals, and we have a heck of a time with short-term rentals there because there can be 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 cars. You can only park 2 cars in front of your house, 2 in the driveway, and 2 in the garage. And so the overflow is at the clubhouse, in front of the clubhouse, and that bump out on Everett. There is no parking on the east side of Everett right now, so I don't know where this overflow parking is going to go. They're going to park in the grass, I guess, on the east side of the Phase 2 lot right now, because if you only have places for 4 parking spaces, those are going to be STRs, I assume, and there's going to be no parking. Because what they ended up doing before, the other houses were built on lots 1, 2, 3, and 4, they would park on that west alley, on that grass. So with that parking, going to have an overflow parking lot or something, okay? Also, let's see, I took some of the notes here. Yeah, no overflow parking for visitors. Oh, there's no sidewalk for those houses on Everett. When I told Matt that and talked to Dane and those guys, they laughed in my face and they said, oh, we can use the trail. I don't think we're going to use the trail as the front sidewalk. There's no sidewalk shown. There's sidewalks shown for everything else. They just added the one in St. Joe. There's sidewalks going on the other side of Cable and whatever, but there's no sidewalk in Everett. I'm recommending to put a sidewalk on Everett. If you want your kids or everybody walking down your street and have a guy run you over with your bike or whatever, that trail gets used a lot, especially on the weekends. There's bikes, there's rollerbladers, there's skateboarders, there's kids walking, people running. I don't think you want your front sidewalk being the trail. That's one of my other comments. A couple other items in the comments that the commission made. We talked about parking. Parking is not adequate. Okay, storage of the materials on site, that's not a problem. Minimize soil erosion, they did for lots 17 to 20, they did fence it around, they do have mitigation of some of the soil runoff and that kind of thing. I assume that they have the same kind of remediation in the soil on phases 2 and 3, which I call 2 and 3, which actually phase 2, where they had a mat underneath 1 or 2 feet past the topsoil. They're going to scrub the topsoil. Anything underneath that goes to the environmental landfill. I assume that's also true. I'd like to have Matt verify that. They're going to have, here's the part about the trail. They're going to have pedestrian, non-motorized, and vehicle circulation systems are safely and conveniently integrated with those of the abutting property. So this comes into the fact that we need a sidewalk on the east side of Overton. Parking, I already touched on that.
Okay, thank you for your comments.
All right, yeah, my time's up.
Time
Thank
is
you very
up.
much.
Is there anyone else?
Mary Hasley, 726 North Shore Drive. I'd like to thank you all for your comments. I cannot agree more with them, though I have one slight difference. The homes for 16 through 20 are actually 849K. They're a lot more than originally thought. With regard to the set-offs, so the original PUD, a lot was put into that. There was a lot of give and take to make sure we had the types of varying housing. We're not seeing that now. So with these other changes, I do not think that they should be allowed to have the same set-offs without showing that they should be given them to make sure there's the right quid pro quo. And also, with regard to sincerity, I really think that a full site plan should be required. He has already changed duplexes to singles. He came back requesting to add 4 more because he could put 20 on, destroying open fields, open space. And the reason we're back 3 times is because the site plan wasn't available before. And also, with regard to soil, it's not a secret that I've been having to call Eagle very routinely because first he didn't put up a fence, and he said he was compliant with the due care plan. He is not ensuring that the contaminated soil that's being stored off-site across from homes is properly covered. The cover is routinely blowing off, and we're now approaching winter or fall when the wind is much stronger, so it would be nice to ensure that that's properly contained and the gate is properly locked. With regard to the plan itself, I just cannot thank you enough for recognizing that we need the duplexes, that we do need to consider the full site. And one other aspect that dovetails with Dan's is that with the larger homes, you're going to have a lot more runoff that's going to cause more problems as opposed to a smaller footprint with the duplex. So that really needs to be taken into account for all aspects of this. And those are really the key points. I cannot stress enough that we really need to have a full site plan because I really do not want to rely on good word. I'm sorry to say. I think we need something in writing to hold him accountable for the changes that he has routinely made and the destruction of open space and the need for our affordable housing. Thank you.
Anyone else? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
I'll move we close the public hearing.
A second.
It's been moved and supported to close the public hearing. Any other discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, public hearing's closed. Mike, could you speak to the drainage?
I've gone over the drainage and the storm calcs on the project and feel comfortable that they're meeting the requirements with the existing basin at the northwest corner is sized up properly for what's proposed in the next phases. And then the south basin is also sized up accordingly. Basically, the property is going to be graded where the kind of north half of the property drains to the northwest corner, and the south half of the property will go to that southern basin out there. My main concerns with the project as it is presented currently is that it doesn't really follow the original PUD. In my opinion, that was something that staff originally, I'm assuming, went over that with the developer and the engineers at the time. Like, for instance, Spencer Avenue was shown to push all the way through. It would go east and west all the way through the development. That's where currently sites 38 through 40 are. My understanding would be that, some thought and effort went into how the original layout was, and it'd be my opinion that we followed that as far as infrastructure goes. One of the other things is with Able, they propose basically 150-foot dead end there that ties into their private alley, but isn't continued all the way through. Now, I think since the original plan I saw, they showed it as proposed to be completed, but I don't think it's still part of this project. So, in my opinion, that should either be built completely all the way through, or my other thought is they don't build it at all, and we don't have that, because that road, if we follow through like we did on the phase one, these will be public roads that'll be dedicated to the city, and staff doesn't feel that we should take over a 150-foot dead end that doesn't have a proper turnaround for maintenance in the future. We'd just be creating something that's not desirable. I mean, we have a lot of those already, that were developed 100 years ago, 80 years ago. I don't see any reason to purposely do something like that currently. So those are my couple of items that I saw on the plan, was just following the original phasing, or at least the infrastructure side of it, and that either they build Able all the way through, or I think they could leave it completely unbuilt. I don't think it's really needed for the lots that they're proposing. They all currently front up on a street that's already constructed, so.
Okay.
That's kind of my thoughts on it.
All right, thank you. Now, does anybody have any questions for Mike?
So your suggestion on the Able Avenue, if they were to go with the 150, we would need at least a larger turnaround there for the equipment. Because let's say something happens that it doesn't, we still have to get street equipment in and out, because one of the benefits of this particular project, those are public streets built to the public standards. It will have, part of the storm sewer system that all runs together, and, it would be tough to have a less than road and trying to get our equipment there. If we're going to have to do snow removal, how are we going to turn equipment around?
Exactly. I don't want to see down the road that we're having to use trucks to plow that, and we can't use our normal equipment to plow.
The trucks are tough enough keeping up with the substandard alleys that we have. My old house on Phoenix Street, had an alley in the back, and it's that same issue trying to get the trucks in and out of that. So that was going to be one. Or if they went all the way through. Now, if they didn't construct that 150, is that required, and they would just have an alley off from Elkenberg Street?
In my opinion, is they could just put like they showed on the alley where I'm proposing Spencer would go through.
Mm-hmm.
They could put a turnaround if they desired at the end there somehow. And maybe it would be with a temporary easement for the turnaround that could be converted down the road. But I don't have a crystal ball to know if phase 3 or 4 will happen out there.
Yeah, and it looks like that little cutout there at Spencer would be a turnaround. I mean, it's an alley that goes to nowhere, and that's certainly not going to be, certainly wouldn't want to build that to Spencer's road quality. specs. Okay. Thank you.
Where's Spencer that you're talking about?
Spencer's kind of off the right side, way there at the top.
Parallel to Aylworth.
Aylworth, this first street in is Spencer.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, if you could see the original plan, the original PUD, future phases show that Spencer would run all the way through east and west, from Indiana over to St. Joe, north of that proposed basin at the south end.
Anyone else? All right. Why don't you hang tight for a moment? So unless the commission has any other questions ready to go, maybe we should look at page 20, 1920. And specifically, there's 4 items: dimensional requirements, open space, PUD objectives, and parking. And conversation should center around those 4 items, I think, right now. So the first one's dimensional requirements. Any comments on this one?
Forgive me. Here, Mr. Chairman, my page numbers are not showing up. Can you tell me?
Should be right at the top.
Okay, got it.
So the first one says dimensional requirements, section 1305-2 requires that the minimum yard requirements of the underlying zoning district be maintained around PUD boundaries. Currently, the lots along St. Joseph Street, 30 to 40, do not meet the 25-foot front yard setbacks. Planning Commission may approve the amendment as proposed and in continuation with the standard established in Phase 1, or may wish to condition any approval upon the requirement that the lots along St. Joseph Street, 30 to 40, meet the 25-foot front yard setbacks as set forth in the underlying zoning.
Are the 25-foot setbacks currently being maintained on the new Elkenberg construction?
Are you asking
I'm
staff?
just asking staff. I'm currently at a disadvantage. If we could get IT to help me out.
Why don't you switch over to George's seat?
I may have to switch over to George's seat.
I can answer your question also. In Phase 1, when the original developer came to City Council and Planning Commission, he asked for 2 specific items in his PUD requirement for Phase 1. He planned on coming back for each additional phase and doing a new application for each additional phase after that. That's explained in the minutes. One of the requests was that instead of the 25-foot setback required for an RM1 district, which is multifamily district, that they be set to the 15-foot, which is the R1A setback, single family. And it was granted by Planning Commission and City Council at that time to do such. It was not extended beyond that, that it basically stated in the minutes that they would revisit the situation as it came up in future phases. So we have spoken with the developer to request that this is it, and I believe in his report that he had turned in that was something that he did discuss. But that's why we would like to do that. If a condition is placed on for something like that or something is granted, we would prefer that that be specifically outlined and like cut and dry, that it's laid out that that is permitted for this phase.
So it could be between 15 and 25 foot, but 25 foot would fall within how we currently have those setbacks, right?
Right. By the way the zoning ordinance is set up, if we don't request anything, and because it was only approved for phase one, he would have to basically go to the 25. The way the plans are drawn up currently are to maintain the 15-foot, which is the way it was set up for phase one, and I believe the developer's doing that just as a continuation of what has already been developed there. But we have discussed with him that this is something that does need to be explicitly stated.
Okay. So everybody form an opinion on that, right? Okay. Next up, number 2, open space. Open space areas and calculations should be included in the site plan because the modified phase 2 would impact the viability of the remaining phases as part of the original PUD project. The amount of open space is unknown. If the applicant redefines the PUD boundary to only include phases 1 and 2, 15% should be maintained on this portion of the property and dedicated as permanent open space in accordance with section 13053. Any discussion on this item? Any questions? None? Okay. Move on to objectives. Some objectives should be further considered in relation to the modified PUD plan, particularly objectives 2, 3, 4, and 7. The proposed amendment will impact the development of future phases in the original PUD plan. Applicant may need to either modify the PUD boundary so it includes phases 1 and 2 or submit a new PUD plan that considers the proposed phase 2 development in context of a modified development plan. Planning Commission should discuss these objectives and options with the applicant to better understand changes in the development and their impact on the overall intent of the PUD. Any questions for the developer regarding this?
I don't know if they're questions as much as just restatements of what we brought up. I mean, I think this is what jumped out at me when I read through our packet here. In Objective 3, it talks about, while other residential and commercial buildings were proposed in the original PUD plan, the amendment of Phase 2 would impact the future layout of other phases, and it's unknown whether all the original types of residential and commercial development features could still be included. What I heard Matt say is they could be still included. Of course, it still remains a question whether they will be included. Then on objective number 4, the language says, therefore, the applicant may either modify the PUD boundary so that it only includes phases 1 and 2, and later expand that boundary through another amendment, or submit a new PUD plan that provides an updated layout, phasing, and site design based on the changed conditions. And the Planning Commission may discuss the options. I don't know if that's where the language comes in, but the request to see a full site plan, or at least a concept plan that shows the whole property as it moves through the phases. And understanding what Matt brought up, what Scott brought up, I do recognize that it's organic, but we still have to have some type of vision or some type of specification to know what we're making a deal with, instead of just blind faith. And then on number 7, of course, that's really what we've been talking about here, to ensure there are recognizable and substantial benefits to the community achieved by the PUD. My feeling is there will not be substantial benefits. First of all, let me give credit to Matt. I mean, I'm thrilled when I go over there and I see what's happened to that property after having sat barren and I had no idea what was going to go there. I think the homes are attractive. I might have done it differently, but I'm no developer. However, as it says on 7 here, whether what's being built does provide substantial benefits to the community as we had first hoped it would is a question open in my mind. And what do we do looking forward to make sure that we do get our part of the deal here? We get the substantial benefits of affordable housing and senior housing on that property. Just one other thing, just as a point of clarification, we keep using this term missing middle. Missing middle is an architectural term. It talks about housing that's not single family or not multifamily apartment buildings. It's the missing middle the 3 to 4 unit buildings. Missing middle is not an economic status. It's a type of building. So when we're talking missing middle, let's make sure we're clear what that means. When we're talking affordable housing, we have guidelines, AMI, to work with. Those are definable.
Okay. Anyone else? All right, let's move to 4, which is parking, and basically, just to boil it down, if there's 3 or less bedroom, each unit requires 2 spaces, 4 plus an additional space for each bedroom.
So I don't see anything outside of what's normal. Every third, I mean, up to 3 bedrooms, we'll get 2, and then additional, there's nothing being asked to change ordinance-wise. You know, I know it's tough when you suddenly become a short-term rental and there's parking everywhere. You know, not sure how to regulate that. I mean, we did look at parking years ago and came up with that formula. So I think that's going to be dependent on the type of home that's built and how large the garage is and the driveway. I'm hoping that those units with the alleyways have a large enough driveway to get a car in. I know we've got a standard, but I know there's a few places out there, some newer spots that I go by, it's impossible to get a car in without getting on the sidewalk. You know, that's going to extend out into the alley, which is private. It's going to be a different situation unless it's coming up the front.
I think the point of this item is unless there were the other phases included, everything reverts back to what we already have in the books. There's no special consideration, so we'll be following 3 bedrooms or less, 2 parking spaces, and additional would be 1 each for additional bedrooms.
Yeah.
And that's no different in my neighborhood than it is in Trailside PUD or anywhere else in the city. We've got the same requirements for everybody. And unless we think we can define it differently where there might be a rental, this is what we have to deal with.
Mm-hmm.
And right now, we have no authority to do anything else.
Yeah. Okay. So, are there any questions you want to ask staff at this time in relation to what we've just gone over? Or anything else?
It seems to me that we're getting ourselves kind of tied up in knots here. If we ask a developer of a PUD of this size to come in with an overall plan, and we look at that, and the public looks at that, that's what they're going to expect. Look at Overton. We had a concept of Overton without even a developer around, and that's what the public is expecting now that we've got a developer and we've got some dollar figures behind it, and we know what it's going to cost. We try to do PUDs in phases, and that doesn't seem to be working very well for us either. I think we need to make a decision whether we're going to do it by phases and work with the developer as he goes along developing those phases, or whether we're going to say, no, we don't develop PUDs that way. You come in with a concept of what it's all going to be in the end, and there are no variations. That's not what we have now in our ordinance, but maybe that's what we want. I don't, but
Well, unless there's anything else, I'll entertain a motion.
I do have a question of
Okay.
of our attorney. The suggestion of our city engineer about extending the street beyond the Phase 1 area, is that something that we could require in Phase 1? even though it's, that part of the street is not drawn on a sheet of paper that encompasses phase one.
Phase two.
What phase are we in?
Phase
You
two.
were here in the phase two.
Yes, I think that would be a condition planning commission could impose, because it does relate to the overall development of the site. And in terms of how to implement it, you'd probably want to make the condition approve. Do you think you would need to see the plan for the street, or just if, as long as they were acceptable to engineering staff, could have them submit and approved by engineering staff, and then, you know, I guess how interested is planning commission in the details of those, of that street plan? It would just be a straightforward continuation of what's shown on the plan, right?
Well, I think as a planning commission, we would specify that the street be extended its full length to the standards required by the city as a permanent street.
Yeah, that's what my intent was.
Yes, I think that's pretty easy to articulate as a condition.
And that would be Abel,
Correct.
Yes, that's the one I'm looking at, is Able.
as opposed to Spencer. Thank you.
Named after the town's pharmacist.
Later purchased by H.R. McDonald, but we won't go there.
And then Jerry Gruber?
And then Jerry Gruber.
Later years, but yeah.
Will you be making the motion, Larry? If
I
so,
will.
I'll give you some time,
Yeah,
because this
yeah.
one is rather complicated. What were you saying, Clark?
Well, we also have, and I'm not sure if the sidewalk was indicated for those along Everett, the alleyway, and Abel there, as opposed to utilizing the parkway. You know, houses that just go out into nowhere, and then that's it. I'm not sure which side is the front of the home, but whether or not sidewalks were included in the site plan or not, but we don't think they were. Correct? No, okay.
The sidewalks that we're referring to, that we made a mistake in the staff report, were located on St. Joseph Street.
The St. Joseph Street,
Yes,
okay.
yes.
Which would tie into those 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then, so we're missing that. And what is your thoughts on that, Mr. Dopp, with regards to a sidewalk for that piece?
I would figure that bike path would be the sidewalk in that area. I don't know that I've ever seen a parallel sidewalk with a bike path. I think if you look around town, I don't think wherever we have bike paths, we have a separate sidewalk. I think you'd be taking up it'd be another 5 feet. You'd have 5 feet plus 10 feet of bike path. That would be a hard surface. I think that the bike path would be the sidewalk in this situation.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman?
Why ask?
Mr. O'Connor was trying to get your attention.
Oh,
This might apply to what Matt's going to say, but is there a sidewalk on the other side of Everett there?
Yeah.
I was going to comment on that, but.
make sure you pull your mic up.
I appreciate everyone's comments, and I understand everyone's comments. So I would ask that you table us for a month so we can show a plan. So that would be, I mean, I can't make a motion, but I would just request that you table us so we could provide a couple supplemental documents that may be a little more productive on our next meeting. So
Thank you.
that's just a request for the applicant.
Okay. All right, we'll take that as an official request. In the meantime, Larry, rather than making a motion, why don't you say what you were going to say is the motion so we can hit the highlights of what the planning commission is considering.
My intent was to make a motion to approve the site plan with the 10 conditions on pages, I think are page 20 and 21, although I don't have page numbers either.
Yes, 20
right
and
now.
21.
Okay. And include a number 11, which would be construction of Able Street to extend it to Indiana to the final acceptance standards before permits are issued for the construction of units 21 through 29.
Okay. Does anybody want to add any other thoughts to what will be Larry's motion most likely next month?
You're assuming I'll show up.
Assuming, yeah.
That is so far away. My thoughts would probably be making an amendment to exclude the conversion, and I'll have to look at the old of lots 21 to 29 to single family from the original PUD. Those were the lots that were duplex or some type of multifamily or smaller twin homes. I'd like to see, we made that conversion for the 13 to 16. I'd like that to stay in as that transitional area into the other.
Okay. Maybe we should just do a straw poll on this one, just to give staff an idea if the planning commission's headed that way. That sound okay?
That's good with me. I mean, I would either make that motion or potentially,
I don't.
I can always deny. I can always say no.
I don't mind your amending my motion. I don't like straw polls.
Okay.
I think they stifle discussion. We tend to say, well, that idea didn't fly very far in the straw poll, and we don't discuss any further. And if you remember the 12 Angry Men, one person you wouldn't have listened to again, but you should have. So, just my advice.
All right.
I like what you're proposing, Clark, and I would support that next month, something along those lines. Do you understand what Clark just said? Okay.
I also appreciate Matt for coming up and tabling this until we get all the information that we need and get a better sense of how the rest of the project will be developing in the future.
I guess if we're going to go this way, I'm going to offer an apology to the audience here. I appreciate your folks being here. I'm sorry we're not in a position to make a decision. You may have to come back next month. We will too. But it's part of the process. We want to get it right.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, we do.
All right, unless there's anything else, I entertain a motion.
I move that we table this until next month at the request of the applicant.
All right, I won't recognize a motion to table, but I will recognize a motion to postpone.
Okay. Change table to postpone.
Okay.
Second.
It's been moved and supported to postpone this item until next month's meeting. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Okay. And just as a reminder, motion to tables for later in the same meeting.
Okay, thank you.
Okay? Next up, new business. Item 7 is 240 through 260 Black River Street, site plan review, property otherwise known as Parkview Moorings.
So this is an application from Mr. Bob Papa of the Parkview Mooring Seawall Committee. This is an application to essentially replace the existing seawall that's there right now at that site at 240 to 260 Black River Street. If you take a look at the site plan, you'll notice they're not proposing any alteration to the docks. This is simply a replacement of the existing seawall. Additionally, none of the docks as they currently exist encroach beyond the harbor lines. This item went to the Harbor Commission last week for, or last month, for a recommendation to the Planning Commission. The Harbor Commission recommended that the Planning Commission recommended approval of this item, and so this item is now in front of the Planning Commission for consideration.
Okay, thank you, Travis. Does the commission have any questions? All right. Seeing none right now, is there anybody in the audience who'd like to speak to this item? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the site plan for the 240 to 260 Black River Street Parkview Mooring Seawall replacement. And
You're not done.
to include the recommended items 1 through 4 from our packet.
You done now? I can support.
What?
See, just asking Clark if he was done. Said
I'm
the end
done.
of it. Okay,
As long.
support.
Okay, it's been moved and supported. Is there any other discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Move on to item 8, 808 Monroe Boulevard, special land use. And this is page,
87.
what page are we on?
I think it's 87.
87.
87, okay.
87, yeah.
Yep. All right. Is it Travis?
Yep. So this application was submitted by Seeger Builders on behalf of Three Sisters Folly. They are applying to place a swimming pool and hot tub installation in the rear yard of this property. The zoning ordinance requires that for any lakefront or riverfront, so any waterfront lot in the city, that any of those lots that a swimming pool is proposed upon must go for approval at the harbor, for a recommendation from the Harbor Commission, and then for approval of a special land use from the Planning Commission. So again, this item was brought to the Harbor Commission last month for review. Their recommendation was sent forward to the Planning Commission for approval. The item is before you this evening. Just a little bit of background. The existing house on this site was recently demolished. The applicant has submitted and received zoning and building permits for a new home on this site. The special land use that you're looking at here this evening is simply for the swimming pool and hot tub installation.
Okay, do you have any questions for staff at this time before I ask for, this is a public hearing. We need to open. So, any commissioner questions before we go to open a public hearing?
Well, to staff, I know that we had a pool a couple of blocks south of here on Cass Street. That was in a 50-year flood, or 50-year erosion. We don't have that particular, that's not within that here, just as a point of clarification.
It is, yes. This parcel is not included in either high-risk erosion area A or B.
Thank you.
A question for staff. The setback of the new house from the street, is it, I've got 33 feet, 12 feet, is it 12 feet off the right-of-way? It's still fairly close to the street, is,
It is. It is 12 feet from the right-of-way. The zoning ordinance allows for front yard setbacks for the applicant to take an average of the two immediately neighboring parcels on the same side of the street, and then use that as their front yard setback. I believe it says provided that it's no less than 10 feet. And so I believe the home directly to the north of this one is essentially built right to the lot line. And the home immediately to the south is about 24 feet off. And so they have elected to use that average setback.
thank you.
I have a question also for Travis, and I think you answered this just recently, but I want to reiterate it. Since there was so much demolition of the trees and it was pretty well clear cut, I'd like to be reminded of which trees have to seek approval from the arborist. And how much, the trees are, I believe, 6 inches in diameter. Is that what I heard you say?
Yep, for items that have to come to the planning commission for site plan review, trees that an applicant is proposing to remove with a trunk diameter of 6 inches or more would have to be indicated on the site plan for the arborist then to review before the plan is brought to the planning commission for review. This area doesn't require site plan review for the home itself. Again, what you're considering here tonight is just the special land use for the swimming pool installation. So.
Well, no one in their right mind would remove trees back there.
Okay. Any further questions right now? If not, I'll entertain a motion to open a public hearing.
Mr. Chairman, I move we open the public hearing for 808 Monroe Boulevard, special land use.
I support.
It's been moved and supported to open a public hearing. Any other discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, please say aye.
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 All opposed, motion carries. Public hearing's open. Is anybody in the audience wish to speak on this item? State your name, address, and you have 5 minutes.
Good evening. Thank you for inviting us to comment. My name is Sanford Jensen. I was born and raised on Monroe Boulevard. I currently reside at 800 Monroe Boulevard. I am the neighbor just to the north of 808. I also live with my wife at 800 Monroe Boulevard. We are not opposed to pools. We are not opposed to change. We are concerned with the safe stabilization of our property and the bank we share. We are concerned with privacy and aesthetics. We are concerned that we need objective information to make informed decisions. We are worried that a pool or any structure placed too close and into the historically fragile, all sand embankment adjacent our property may cause harm to the structural integrity of the common slope we share. Jeff Seagard, the builder, was thoughtful to come to us and hear our concerns. We appreciate his time. While we have no reason to doubt him or his stated good intentions, we do feel the information provided at present isn't adequate to put our questions to rest. Where are the accurate documents supporting this request? After the near complete clear cutting of trees and the vegetation and the demise of the natural habitat at 808 Monroe Boulevard, we have developed a heightened awareness of our connection to the property to our south. It is hard to argue that the bank is now in better shape. As a matter of fact, it's incomprehensible that it was permitted and allowed. A site that took 70 years to grow was cut down in a few days. We too love our views of the lake and would have hoped a trained arborist with thoughtful pruning, in addition to removal, could have achieved the desired result. In fact, my wife Connell allowed them to top trees of ours on our side of the bank to provide them with a better view. This was done in the spirit of compromise and collaboration. This is a demonstration of our willingness to support our mutual interest, the stability of the bank, and a cordial neighborly relationship. Where will the pool and hot tub be situated on the property? How close to the edge? Over the edge? How deep is the pool? How will the plumbing and drainage work? Is weight a factor? What is being considered or planned to provide enhanced enforcement? An independent assessment of slope stability could be required before you make a decision. With all of this in mind, is the current revetment at the very base of the slope or toe adequate to hold and support new construction and protect the bank from further high water and gravitational slumping? I believe it is not, as evidenced by our costly experience last year. After one furious night last year, a southwest storm took out 8 feet of our neighbor's bank, and then water washed around our brand-new south side seawall and took out 8 feet of our property. This was preventable. We repaired the corner by taking out the new sidewall and driving corrugated revetment deeper and higher and all the way back to our original 1950 seawall. And I have provided pictures, I think, if you have them. And you can see that original seawall, which was really quite interesting in that it had sidewalls. This was connected with rod, brace, and weld. Unfortunately, our neighbors to the south, thinking of selling, I suppose, at the time we built our wall, did not want to join us to improve their revetment, leaving us vulnerable and contributing to our loss of property. We believe this will happen again. The current site plan is not accurate according to the builder. It confuses some with the logistics of what is east and what is west. It does not represent any planned support of the bank. The proposed pool and hot tub does not show any embankment, stability, or enhancements. Given that what has been drawn and submitted is admittedly not accurate, we believe this committee cannot make an informed decision until our questions, and any the Planning Commission may have, are satisfied. We want to be reassured. Beyond verbal good intentions, it would be reasonable to table and/or postpone this commission's decision for a special land use permit until all concerns are documented, understood, and alleviated. Thank you for your time.
Okay, thank you.
Lisa Beck, Monroe Boulevard, 879. I have a question. Would the pool and that, would the bluff have to be taken down? Are they talking about taking the bluff down? Where exactly is the pool going to be? Do we know? No. And my concern is they took the bluff across from our house down, and I've never, in the 30 whatever years I've been here, objected to a single variance. You know, I feel very strongly that people's property is their property and they have the right to do with it. But when they took that bluff down across from our house, not only did it affect a lot of the loss of the South Beach with the building that's been going on closer to the beach and the erosion and everything, but we had a sandstorm, we lost 60-foot tree, we had our porch wiped out by insulation or something flying across. The winds get really strong there. So I think that the commission should really study this, as the gentleman before me said, and see what the repercussions might be also for the beach, for the land, for the neighbors, and obviously the people on either side of them, because, you know, we've all seen the erosion, we've all seen the issues with this, and so I would ask the commission to really study this carefully to see what could happen down the road. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Travis, put up page 95 in the meantime. Anyone else?
Good evening. Can you hear me now? Is that good? Yeah. Thank you for allowing us to speak. My full name is Elizabeth O'Connell Davis, and I reside at 800 Monroe Boulevard in South Haven with my husband, Sandy Jensen. The property of 800 Monroe Boulevard has been in my family since the 1950s, and since that time, the Lake Bluff and the original seawall from 1950 has been reinforced at least 4 times including dumping riprap over the bank, renourishment of the South Beach by the Army Corps of Engineer in about 1986 and 1996, and most recently a seawall placed at the foot of the bluff. These were all mitigating efforts to prevent loss and destruction of the property from Lake Michigan. So I'm curious that it's not in a high-risk erosion zone. I would hate to live in that type because we've had significant erosion and damage. This is the reason I express significant concern to the current proposal for a pool at the edge of the bluff of 808 Monroe Boulevard. The proposal does not indicate how the current bluff will support the pool or how the water runoff from the pool plumbing will be directed. I would like that the Commission would be given adequate documentation to make informed decisions regarding the effect of a concentrated mass of water weighing approximately 70 tons in a 14 by 40 area along the edge of a fragile bluff denuded of vegetation. Precedent might suggest that the weight of a house built on the edge of the bluff would justify the weight of the pool. These beautiful homes built at the bluff north of 808 have required ongoing urgent interventions of armored rock and other materials to prevent property loss to Lake Michigan. We don't have a picture. Can you show the picture of that?
97?
Page 97?
That's okay. I have a picture of the house on the bluff that's required significant reinforcement because of the weight of the house. The special use permit general standards, letter H states, the special land use shall not be hazardous to the adjacent properties. I would like the Commission to be provided with updated, accurate information which could include slope stability studies to assure the safety of the neighboring bluffs from the proposed pool. I welcome our new neighbors, and I wish them all the happiness my years in South Haven have brought to my family and me. Implicit in that desire is for the Danek family and all the families on the bluff have the knowledge to prevent disasters such as gravitational slumping, erosion, and to avoid urgent and expensive Band-Aid type interventions such as armored rock installations on the shoreline. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any questions for me?
Anyone else?
Excuse me. Are you hearing me? Okay, good. Good evening. My name is Mary Cauliflower, and I reside at 814 Monroe Boulevard, which is the property directly north of the proposed pool installation. Excuse me. I'm speaking tonight on behalf of myself and my husband, Stan Kubas, in regards to the proposed location of the pool hot tub area and the impact it may or may not have on the lake bank. First, let me iterate that there is no objection to one having a swimming pool on their property. Our concern as it relates to this particular installation are based on the potential damage to the bluff. If there is any failure to the bluff, there is also the potential it could extend beyond the property lines. The site plan presented to the Harbor and Planning Commissions does not evidence any protection for the bluff. In fact, it shows the hot tub adjacent to the pool extending over the edge of the bluff. When questioning Mr. Seagard about this, he indicated that this was not a final layout and there may have to be adjustments at the time of construction next spring. He also commented to the Harbor Commission that there was ample vegetation on the bluff for protection. Since that meeting, as has been mentioned before, the property has been basically clear-cut, including the lake bank. And if you have access to the photos that Mr. Jensen provided that show both the before and after of the vegetation before removal. So my concern about bank fragility is presented from one whose family has witnessed and dealt with bank erosion issues at 814 Monroe Boulevard since 1916. This is how long the house has been in my family. And in my own tenure of over 70 years, there have been 3 major bank stabilization efforts, as well as several smaller ones. The most extensive of these renovations or stabilizations have addressed issues that have been caused by slumping of the dune or the lake bank top, which is exactly the place where the proposed pool hot tub is to be placed. With the lake bank now completely exposed to the forces of fall, winter, and early spring storms, and there being no indication of any reinforcement prior to pool construction in the spring, the danger of additional slumping is very real. If there was property loss, then how would it impact pool installation if the variance was given now without the documentation of bank stabilization, as opposed to just relying on verbal assurances? In regards to the precedent of other swimming pools in the neighborhood, I go back to my earlier remark that I have no objection to the installation of a swimming pool per se. Yet regarding the reference that has been shared, with the, I think by staff, with the commission, to the 2 pool installations that are immediately south of 808, I'd like to point out the following. The backyard land areas up to the edge of the bluff of those 2 properties was significantly greater than what is at 808. And what happened at those locations was the actual physical removal of the bluff, creating a plateau that was closer to the lake in where those pools are now located. That option does not appear to be viable at 808. In closing, we're asking the commissioners, irrespective of the verbal assurances that Mr. Seagard has said that everything will be okay, and that's in quotes, to consider whether they have enough information to grant this variance at this time, or perhaps it should be put off until such information is available. As also I said earlier, Mr. Seagard indicated that the plan may or may not be the final layout for the pool. So while there may or may not be a specific ordinance at this time relating to pool placement and distance to the lake bluff, I would hope the commission might take this into consideration, the environmental hazards as they affect any individual property, adjacent properties, as well as the city itself. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Mary Hasley, 726 North Shore Drive. Did you receive the email that I had sent to Travis? Okay. Did any of you attend the meeting on September 22nd? I know Commissioner Nichols didn't. We were at a joint meeting. But did any of you attend that? So you've heard about the lack of controlling erosion by putting in the revetments and the ramifications of putting them in actually increasing erosion. And according to that map from the link provided by that presenter, I got it through someone who had attended, it certainly does appear to be within the 30-year erosion mark. So I'm not quite understanding who says and the basis of that it's not within a 50-year erosion mark. It appears that the South Beach is in significant, there's a significant concern of erosion for the South Beach where this occurs. And I think it is not in the best interest of this city to allow construction of the pool so close, especially in light of what everybody else has been saying. And I reiterate, we don't know how the pool's going to drain. It sounds like the plans are not complete. The application, the answers to the questions are self-serving and conclusory. They really do not address the issues that are supposed to be addressed. The application should not be accepted. It should be sent back. And the applicant should provide a plan that shows exactly what's going to happen. This is a special use. There's no guarantee that you can do what you want when there are zoning ordinances requiring special use. So although whoever bought the property, they should have been aware of that. And the integrity of our beach and erosion and the neighboring property is the utmost importance for this community to protect its citizens and its beach and its natural resources. to make people continue to want to stay here, live here, move here, and thrive here. Thank you.
David Veenstra, 1220 Monroe Boulevard. I do have a question about this Three Sisters Folly. Is that some sort of an organization that's listed as the applicant or represent? What is Three Sisters Folly? Does anyone know?
It's just a project name.
It's what?
It's just a project name.
Okay. I'm opposed to granting this permit. I don't know the ins and outs of the technicalities, but listening to what the property owners on either side have said, and having witnessed a really obscene stripping of the vegetation on the bluff already, I would like to see the Planning Commission use any means necessary to reject the permit. Thank you.
Anyone else? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we close the public hearing on 808 Monroe Boulevard special use.
Second.
It's been moved and supported to close the public hearing. Any other discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Okay. Do you have any further questions for staff? And I guess the owners here? Is that correct? Contractor, okay. Is there anything you'd like to say after the public hearing?
If anybody has any questions, I'm certainly here to answer.
Okay, very well.
I do. Could you come forward, please?
Sure will.
I'm looking at a drawing in front of me here that shows the hot tub cantilevered out over the bluff. Obviously, I don't think that, at least it's obvious to me that that probably wouldn't be your intent.
Yeah, I don't know. That's certainly not the intent. And the actual line, that was a survey that was obtained from the sale of the purchase of this home, which it doesn't actually go over the bluff. There's no intention to put the pool or the hot tub over the edge of the bluff. When I submitted this, I'm still working with a landscape architect to figure out exactly where we want to situate the pool so that it best fits the site once we get the actual foundation in for the building itself. And then we would look to do that where it's appropriately necessary.
Okay. Yeah, thank you. I just wanted to clear that up.
And while you're up there, is it currently staked out on the property? If we did a site visit, we could see the
pool is not currently staked. The house is actually staked. So I have, in meeting both of the neighbors here recently, I was there with my landscape architect, so we were trying to evaluate where to best position the pool. I put here a maximum of a 14 by 40 because that was what we thought we might be able to get away with. It certainly won't exceed that. It may actually end up being less than that. We're really looking at the overall picture of what this property looks like and how to fit it and how to best situate everything in it. So that might mean that the pool gets narrower or shorter, and that's kind of why I just proposed it as a general, not really knowing exactly what I was in here for, because I didn't know yet what we would end up doing. So it could certainly get smaller, but we're really still evaluating what the best fit is for the property.
Just a question with the company that actually drew this map. Now, the lake is on the west, right?
That is correct.
Okay.
There is some wrong dimensions on there.
Okay.
Or actually.
And I wasn't sure what that's going on, then do I trust the
Wrong
numbers? Do I? Okay. That was the biggest part. Now I noticed, what I first noticed was when it was gone. I run down that street on a fairly regular basis, and because I run so slow, I'm able to notice things. And I noticed all the trees were still there that, and I thought that was kind of neat. And then they were gone. Did an engineer look at, when you start taking out those adult trees and the vegetation, how that might affect the stability of?
I have not had an engineer personally look at it, no.
Okay. Thank you.
Are you Jeff Seeger?
I am.
Okay. Would you object to us postponing this and
No,
look?
not at all.
What I'm looking at is, I'd like to see some kind of section drawing. to get
Sure, I'm
some-
happy, now
some-
that we've got the house set in place, we've done some further investigating on it, I'm happy to come back to the planning commission with an actual full layout, full size. Certainly, we're not looking to drain anything to the lake, we're not looking to do any kind of, look, this client has certainly made a large investment in this property as well. Nobody wants to see the bank deteriorate for whatever reason, so we're certainly looking to do all of our drainage back towards the house. Nothing will be, subjective to the lake.
Yeah. I think and by the sound of it, a lot of the neighbors would probably, if it would like a section drawing.
I'm happy to
show-
do it.
Yeah, show what Monroe
Happy to do it.
Boulevard is, what the elevation of the
Sure.
house, what the elevation of the pool, what the proposed.
Yeah, and it was difficult because the site does go uphill. So when you look at this site, the street is here, the bluff is here, so we're actually falling towards the street. So trying to find a happy medium between the neighbors to the south, which are considerably higher than the neighbors to the north, and finding a good go-between on both of those to situate the pool in correctly. So we didn't just want to wing it in there, we wanted to evaluate it once we got started.
Thank you.
I think it would be helpful, too, in addition to what Mr. Heinrich asked, if we could indeed see on your next submission, you said it's near the bluff. If you could give us some footage from how
Yeah,
far
we'll
away
give
that
you
pool
some
is
exact
going to be from
footages.
the bluff. Yes,
Absolutely.
that would be helpful.
Yes, I found I found your sketch to be very sketchy.
It was very simple.
And
I
so
didn't
it was-
intend for it to be that detailed.
Yeah, and it was very difficult to follow.
Sure.
And I happened to be there when the trees, because I went to see the property and went to see where the bluff went down. And I happened to be there when all of it was being, all the trees and the vegetation were being taken down. And I couldn't understand that because if you're putting a pool in and you're taking down vegetation, and I look at this plan, it just didn't all fit. It did not come together at all. So I'm glad that you're considering postponing
Absolutely.
this decision. And once we get more information and also more information about the bluff and some of the engineering that, is a possibility with the pool and the weight of the pool and the erosion, possible erosion of the bluff, I think those are all important things that we need to know in order to make an informed decision.
Anybody else?
I just have a comment.
Okay.
I've some experience with steel sheet piling. I've been down there on that beach, and it's, somebody put in a heavy steel sheet piling many years ago. It's half-inch thick, well tied back. The toe of that bluff is going to be there for as long as we're around.
It's secure.
Yeah, but what's going on between the building site and the top of, or the back of that wall, it's no sense in creating problems. So,
Of course.
Yeah.
Okay.
Where do we go from there? Now, we just had a public hearing, which we wouldn't,
Just keep it open.
Leave it open. Well, we
it's
closed
just
it.
a public hearing.
Closed it.
Yeah.
We could reopen it next time,
Next time, okay.
if you guys decide to postpone it.
I think it's wise.
All right, thank you.
You bet.
All right. Anybody willing to make a motion? Two choices.
We could, I'll try this as a proposal, that I propose that we postpone, keep this public hearing open.
We already closed it.
Oh, we did? I'm sorry, you're right, we did. Oh, so
Okay.
We
let's
would reopen.
postpone action on this until next month.
Does that give the builder enough time to come back?
I don't know. Will they give you enough time to resubmit drawings?
So we'll do everything we can, and I'll work with Travis if I need it to go into a second month, is that
Please come back up to the podium, sorry.
We'll certainly try our best to make that happen. If we need an additional month, I can certainly work with Travis to postpone it until the additional month is needed. I don't know how long it will take to get it all prepared and ready, but certainly when I come back, it will be prepared.
Okay.
I do have a question. Is it possible to build a house first, and then, once you see the layout and where everything is going to be, and...
It's
then
my
you get
full
a
intention.
Yeah, then...
So the pool actually
could
won't...
be later even, I mean, a
Yeah, the
decision
pool-
about the pool.
The pool will not go in until spring. So this was, in my opinion, not in my opinion, and what I needed to do was just to seek an approval for this, which is why I started this. But I wasn't intending on putting the pool in until next spring. The weather's changing already. I really wanted to evaluate how the pool best fit in there with its appropriate size once the structure was up.
Okay. Any further questions? All right, for the second time, thank you. All right, we do have a motion on the floor. Is there support?
I support.
It's been moved and supported. Is there any other discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. All right, item 9 in new business, lane diet review. Who's speaking to that? Was it, oh, Bill's here. Yes. How are you this evening, Bill?
I'm good, Chair. Thanks for asking. I appreciate it. Good evening, Chair, Commissioners. Today, I'm going in front of the Planning Commission to seek your feedback on the lane diet that was implemented 2 years ago. Just a little history behind the lane diet. Actually, this process almost goes back 10 years, just about. It's really close to that. 2012, the city hired Progressive A&E to do a whole corridor lane study. So you're looking at LaGrange, Broadway, you're looking at Phoenix, the whole business loop, and they came back with a recommendation. And of course, I wasn't in here in 12, so it sat on the shelf for a little while. Looks like about four years, and then the city hired Abbenmarsh to do some public outreach on the corridor. So they did that with the neighbors and the businesses, received their feedback, and explained to them that this was just going to be a paint. That's what we were doing. That was the intention. So as you can see, there's about 2 years of public outreach that we did, just from the meetings alone. I myself attended all these meetings from the push group. I didn't do all the planning commission ones. No, I did. Actually, I did all these, with the exception of the original one in 16. So I guess I have been here that long now, so.
Hang on one second, Bill. Hey,
Yes.
Travis, will you throw up 110, page 110 on there? Okay, sorry to cut you off.
Oh, no, it's no problem, no problem. Some of the, the benefits of, and just recently I did a public input where I did, they called it DPW hours for the whole month of April, where I was on from 5 to 7. People called in and I received their input and I recorded everything. What I was going to do is get the Planning Commission's input and then present everything to City Council. Just kind of recap of some of the benefits of a lane diet. And I think a lot of the feedback I was getting was kind of a confusion. A lot of the input I was receiving was a focus on bikes, and that was not the intention of a lane diet. A lane diet is just you were actually utilizing the lanes of shrinking it. That's all you were doing. It wasn't the intention of creating bike lanes, just utilizing the lanes that you eliminated. You could have hashed those out and did the same thing. Lane diet is traffic calming. And in the study, there was a lot of level of service, and people asked, well, how much did we lose with this? Approximately, they talked numbers of 5 to 7 seconds. This road was overbuilt. It's overbuilt 98% of the time. 98% of the time, we're not utilizing it. And I dare say it's probably even higher than that, because really, when are we at full capacity of those lanes? Maybe the 4th of July? I would say maybe, and that would just be in some areas. So it's overbuilt, and typically that's what MDOT did. they did that over time. They figured, we're going to spend the money, concrete's cheap, we're going to build this thing so we never have to upgrade it again. And then they do their projections. They even try to go out 100 years, but we never reached those levels, and I don't think we ever would. Some of the other improvements you have, for example, is when you do lane diets, there are a lot of studies that show it's safer. You would decrease actually overall crashes 19 to 47%. Some even say there are some studies that slowing the traffic down actually improves the safety of neighborhoods and also makes it more of a destination for areas. You slow down, they're actually looking at your corridor and going, wow, now I'm going a little slower. And has a tendency to, now it's slower to actually redevelop and build those up. So does the Planning Commission, any inputs, and how do you think it's going so far? What are some of the inputs you guys have received? What have you seen? I mean, any comments that you can give me would be greatly appreciated.
Yeah, the one thing, Bill, that I want to ask about is, I find people are confused by the lane markings.
Yeah.
You happen to know the corner that I know, coming down the Grange and turning right onto Elkenberg.
Mm-hmm.
There's no hash lines there on that line. It's a solid line.
Yes.
So you're actually, legally, if you're doing it right, you're in the left side.
Mm-hmm.
That lane is not to be crossed over and used as a way to turn right onto Ravinia, or onto Elkenberg, excuse me.
Correct, yeah.
But I got to tell you, 5 out of 10 times, that's what it's being used for.
Oh,
So when I'm trying to turn on Elkenberg from the correct lane, there's somebody comes zooming up in what I formerly referred to as the bike lane. I will not do that anymore. Trying to do the same thing. So what's the rhyme and reason of how we decide whether you get a hash line like we do at some of the streets, and whether it's a solid that you don't get to cross on other streets?
Actually, that was in the design phase, and that was based on traffic counts of actually those side streets and how many counts and turn movements were going into there. So some of them, if you can actually see where the congestion of most of the traffic, those were your hash marks where they had to get people off, so you're not having a backup in areas. I'll tell you that I turn down that road all the time. My wife does that all the time, and there's no hash. She just keeps coming in. I don't know how to solve that really. I mean, I do the same thing. I do it over, and I've caught a couple of people coming. It's going to take some time to get used to. I'll admit this: when we first put it in, there was a lot of confusion. I watched people go right down that line, following like they were following the middle of a solid white line. Over time, I see they are adjusting. But you're right; the hash marks. There's a lot going on.
Yeah, I think, and I know you tried to do this, but maybe there's signage required or whatever, but a little bit of education about what those lines mean
Mm-hmm.
might help a lot. I mean, the problem is made worse, of course. That's a primary school crossing.
Mm-hmm.
And you throw a couple skateboards in that lane,
Mm-hmm.
it gets real hairy.
Anybody else?
Nothing for Bill, but I have a comment.
Oh, okay, just hang on.
Okay.
Anybody else have a?
Well, you requested the feedback I got. Most of the online feedback are from people who don't live in South Haven, and they don't like it because it takes too long to get anywhere, and there's bikes, and that scares them. Being able to utilize the extra lanes, the excess lanes for bikes, I think is a positive idea. I've lived on either side of that road since the 90s. I find walking across the road and crossing the road is easier, having to navigate just 3 lanes instead of 5 at times. So I think it's a great improvement. Like you said, driving slower takes just a few seconds to go the entire route. So I like the lower speed. Having lived on Phoenix Street and still having to cross Superior on a regular basis, taking kids to school, still find it because Phoenix is a racetrack, and and especially during when the guys have those little cars out at Gingerman for their weekend of the small cars, they come in town and it's a racetrack. So I think the Superior or the lane diet is pretty amazing. What I'm hoping is down the road that it grows up and we get even more paint, maybe different colors and stuff. You know, some of the communities I've seen, and it really makes it apparent that suddenly it's 3 lanes of traffic and not 5, because I do think we don't need it. You know, the number of times people say it's really tough to turn left anywhere along. It's always been tough to turn left there. You know, it just is. Is it any more or less? A couple days a year, it's almost impossible. But that after that, I think it's positive. Like you said, if they had built it to the right speed or the right width, all those little curb cuts and those little cuts they've been doing over the time, you know, where they've been repairing, they could have just redone the road a couple of times because there's less road to work with. But I think it's great. I've got a lot of positive feedback from families who live along that area because the families find it now it's an easier street to navigate. And these are people that have smaller ones. So that's the feedback that I personally have felt and, you know, talking with friends.
Just some additional signage to educate. You know, that street is used by a lot of young drivers. And a lot of our young drivers are using that lane to cut in front of folk, and you got 2 people turning at the same time. And so some additional signage or additional colors on the ground, like Gruber said, I think that would be a really good help for the community to be able to get accustomed to using the street for its new design.
And Bill, I agree with everything that's been said around the table, and I have to say navigating that street, trying to cross it, just has been a lifesaver for me. I do cross it a lot, and now I'm able to cross it because of the traffic going slower and not as many cars to navigate.
I agree. Same thing. A little brighter colors would be great, especially when there's construction now.
Yeah.
And I have to get out on the road and try to figure out if I'm actually in that lane or if I'm in the right lane. Like that part is a little nerve-wracking for an old lady driver even.
I think I may have sent you a photograph of the front of the post office and the library. It looks to be about late 60s or early 70s, and there's parallel parking all along there. There was, I don't know, maybe there wasn't a center lane at that time, but people used to parallel park on both sides of that street. That must have slowed it down a lot. So the way we found it when you and I moved here wasn't a permanent thing. It's been done different ways. My comment is I would look at making it more permanent. I know that you can curb some different areas to channel things, is to look at that. As people talk about signage, it's possible some curb, I don't know what the proper term for them is, like you see on North Shore Drive.
Bump outs for
bump
some of
outs
the pedestrian access.
make it unmistakable what a lane is for, and I'm not sure where that might be appropriate, but I'd develop the concept. It's definitely safer. We live a block off, and crossing it by car, crossing it by bike, crossing it walking, it's all much better. In the summer, we don't even try to turn left, but it makes it easy the rest of the year.
Yeah, Todd's correct. I don't think MDOT overbuilt it. All that happened was they got rid of the parallel parking.
Okay.
So, and for the snowplow drivers of the city, I don't think bump outs are going to work on that major thoroughfare.
Maybe not.
I think it's a great way to use the facility that was there. I would never say MDOT overbuilt it because the cost of widening a 3-lane road to 5 and handling all that traffic is just humongous. And it's better to overbuild to start with and then do something like this to make use of it, just in case. Imagine trying to widen Phoenix at this point.
Oh, yeah.
Which they did that too. Yeah. All right. Good. All right. Thank you, Bill.
Yep.
Thanks.
Were we going to have public comment on that, or was that for city council once they review it?
I would think probably should take public comment, I think, on that
Okay.
as well.
So anybody here like to talk about the lane diet? If so, come up to the podium, state your name, address, you have 5 minutes.
Mary Hasley, 726 North Shore Road Drive. So I would just say with the bump outs, they actually, I think, are problematic because they don't come out far enough to make it a short walk across. They're out far enough for parking, but then for bicyclists, it's actually not very safe because people open their doors into where you're trying to bike. So I like the road diet better, and I think it would make it easier for plowing too. And I know when I've tried to cross across Broadway, I actually got off my bike and walked in the crosswalk to make people stop because although there's only one lane, it's one lane each way and the traffic lights were so off that there was always somebody coming. It was also a holiday weekend, but they all stopped. So, but I do think that I don't think bump outs are the be all and solve all.
David Veenstra, 1220 Monroe Boulevard. One comment I will make on the hash lines, I think every street should probably have those hash lines at least for a few feet, in my opinion, because I think in 20 years, we're still going to be fighting the same battle. Otherwise, give people a little bit of chance to get over just before the street. Otherwise, you do take the chance, the risk of that happening. And I don't know if it's possible to put yellow lines, but, I mean, yellow lines you're not supposed to cross. A solid white line is a little more ambiguous in my view.
Mm-hmm. That's why it's white. All right, anyone else? Okay, let's move on. Item 10, the Health Services District rezoning. And this is page, let me scroll down.
114.
What is it?
114.
114. That way we're all on the same page. Okay, Travis.
Okay, so this item is a result of the city council having taken action earlier this year to create the health services zoning district. This is an item that the planning commission considered last June and recommended approval to the city council. The council went forward with that recommendation and approved the creation of this district earlier this year. What you're seeing before you tonight is what was included in the master plan on the future land use map, where it indicated the parcels that would likely fit into this sort of district. Now, the district is designed to essentially accommodate health and science services and supporting type facilities or supporting type uses like small restaurants and coffee houses. That would be there for folks working in those offices as well as patients and visitors to either the hospital or any of the other facilities in the area. Now, having looked at this with the city attorney, I think the assumption originally when this was put together was that there were going to be very minimal numbers of nonconformities created. However, there obviously are 6 R1A parcels fronting on R1B parcels fronting on Aylworth that currently have single-family uses on them right now, as well as an additional R1B parcel fronting on Phillip Street that has a single-family use. And so what staff has done is put together 2 options for the Planning Commission. The first would essentially run exactly with what the master plan has recommended and would include all of those in this rezoning. The second option would eliminate those 7 single-family use parcels from this proposed rezoning. Staff felt it was more prudent to put this item in front of the Planning Commission versus trying to make a specific recommendation toward something that would not align with what the master plan had laid out on the future land use map. And so we put together the 2 options for the commission here to consider this evening.
All right, commissioners have any questions for staff before we open a public hearing?
I just have the one question on option 2 map. You talk about the 7 lots. There's 6 on Aylworth, I thought, or,
Why don't you give them the page you're looking at?
yeah, the page I'm looking at is
27.
127.
Yeah.
Now that I have a mouse that works.
Yep.
That would be the one. So down there in Aylworth, we've got, those are 6 lots there. Where's the 7th lot, or one of those actually a double lot?
So the seventh lot is actually up here. I don't know if you can see where I'm kind of circling with the arrow, up by Phillip Street.
Thank you.
This lot has a single-family use on it as well. And
Thank
so
you.
this is being the second map. If you look here at this first map, this
Got
first
it.
option includes
Got it.
that parcel.
Thank
as well.
you. I wasn't sure if it was that one or the one from Phillips and Bailey there. Thank you.
Yeah, and in addition to that, wanted to also make mention of the fact that that other R1B yellow parcel here that you see on option 1 that is included in that area does not have a single-family home on it.
Thank you.
And so the recommendation would be to simply keep that one included.
Thank you.
I have a question. On page 130, it's a map, looking at the top right area along Blue Star, north of the hospital, the new hospital property. 113L is actually owned by Bronson, and I'm wondering why it's not included. 113L. Oh, it's numbered differently. Oh, is that township?
Yep.
Okay, so township isn't included in this?
No, I believe the future land use map does identify some parcels that are in the township. My assumption would be that that is in any anticipation of any future 425 agreement or acquisition.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay.
Excuse me,
Go ahead.
on option 2, the 7 properties, did you receive feedback from the current residents of those properties that impacted that decision?
We did get a couple of phone calls from individuals who were concerned that they were included in this.
There was a letter, too, an email or a text?
I believe, yeah, I think I forwarded an email as well that we received either earlier this week or late last week from a resident on one of those single families.
Yeah. Okay, no more questions right now? Okay, so I'll entertain a motion to open the public hearing.
I'll make a motion to open the public hearing.
It's been moved and supported to open the public hearing. Any other discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Anybody in the audience wish to speak on this item? Please state your name, address. You have 5 minutes.
I'm Scott Bulmesh. I'm at 867 Phillips. And I was curious about what Travis was saying about, if you look up there, the parcel B788, in the other map, it was shown in yellow. So we're the owners of 867. It's actually consists of 2 parcels, and you've split the 2 parcels there. And you just made mention, I think you were talking about our property a moment ago. Excuse me, this one right here, so this and the triangular one and the rectangular one. You made mention that there's nothing on there, there's not a single family on there now, but we own both of those lots together, and we do have a single family home on the adjacent lot. So I was wondering if or why that was included on the other side of the line and not excluded where the single-family house was.
So this is an item the city attorney I might defer to Nick on. It is adjacent, obviously, immediately adjacent to the parcel that your parcel that does have a single family use on it. For zoning purposes, we always treat those parcels that are immediately adjacent as being used by the owner for zoning purposes. So if you have a single family home on that parcel, you could on that immediately adjacent parcel construct an accessory structure like a garage or a shed.
Right.
And so again, I guess I would defer to the city attorney on this. I believe if the planning commission wanted to, you could exclude that parcel and simply, if this got approved here, when the proposed ordinance were brought to the city council for final consideration, that we would just simply eliminate that parcel as well.
Correct, correct. So, and our single-family house is on this one, so I would have thought this would follow the sun with that, you know, include this on the next, you know, the outside right. So, do you know 605, otherwise meet the dimensional standards?
I would have to look at it and
I mean, it's a pretty good sized lot.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think it would make some sense to include the adjacent parcel if it's not going to be used for anything other than being accessory.
I mean, we do have a garage that's on 788. Yeah.
I think that would make sense.
Okay.
All right, very good.
Put that in.
Okay, make note of that. All right, anything else?
No, I mean, would you need anything else from me, or this is just procedural from there?
All good, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Anybody else?
Linda Ballon, we're at 801 Aylworth. We're one of those 7 residentials. We've been residential, lived there for 47 years, and I'm just trying to understand why our area, our residential area, would be picked to be put into a health service district. Because, I mean, there's all of our homes, and we're all residential. We're not going to become a restaurant or something like that. We're a doctor's office. We're just trying, because we do not wish to be included in this district.
Okay. Thank you.
And just to respond just briefly to that, the reason the option 1 is provided in the packet here this evening is simply because those were the parcels that were included in the adopted master plan as being used in this future health services district. That was a plan that was adopted by both the Planning Commission and the City Council in 2018, and so that was why those were included.
Right, 'cause you have the old hospital area. None of the homes south of that were included in this district, but you took us off on Aylworth and added us in this, and it just didn't make sense to me.
So you're okay with the rezoning except for the residential part?
Residential,
Okay.
yes.
Which would be the option 2.
Too, but we still.
Anyone else?
Hi, I'm Lana Gowell, 821 Aylworth Avenue. We're in the same area as the woman who just finished speaking. We have the same concern because we want to live in that house till the ripe old age. But what's going to happen, to the zoning if it changed to medical? Does that mean we'd never be able to sell to anyone else, or what does that?
Does not mean that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess I don't understand then why you'd want to change the zoning if it really doesn't affect anything. What does it affect?
Your question is a really good question, and I'm looking forward to talking about it amongst ourselves when the public hearing closes. I think we're puzzled too.
Yeah, because I feel the same as the last woman, like you have all that space by the hospital, and we'd like to keep that residential, so, thank you.
Danielle Veenstra, 1220 Monroe Boulevard, and we keep talking about how we want housing for families, and yet part of the master plan from 2018, you decided that you were going to take 7 residential family homes and change them into non, and that makes no sense for where we want to go with our city. So stick with them.
Anyone else?
Mary Hasley, 726 North Shore Drive. I just have to reiterate what Danielle said. the master plan changing residential into non-residential when we're trying to have residential just is not good planning. Thank you.
My name is Al Gumpert. It's 797 Aylworth Avenue, and I agree with the previous people up here. I would rather keep it residential. I don't like to see it changed to health service.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else?
Paul Baldwin, 801 Aylworth. I don't want to see it change that, but I'm wondering why there's such a need for this much property for health services when, sadly to me, we've lost the hospital in South Haven. I can't get anything done I need done. I gotta go to Kalamazoo. What, you know? There's hardly any doctors in town anymore, let alone a hospital. We got a glorified emergency room, and that's it. So I've really failed to see the need for all this property that could be zoned for. Of course, I'm not in the planning commission or city council, but it doesn't make a lot of sense to me, considering what we've lost.
Mm-hmm. Anyone else? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion to close.
Make a motion that we close the public hearing.
Support.
Been moved and supported to close the public hearing. Any other discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Okay. Any further comment, or does somebody wish to make a motion?
I'll make a motion. If I get this right. Get to the right area here because I am going to, I guess I would want to recommend a motion, the proposed zoning to the zoning districts into the newly created health services district, utilizing option 2 map, and to exclude, I gotta get to that, the parcel.
605.
Yeah, is it B788?
Yeah, if you want, I would recommend maybe just, I just identified it as 867 Phillips Street. So, because the way it's written in the ordinance, the proposed ordinance is the parcel number and the address.
The parcel number and the address, and which one was that address?
It's 867 Phillips Street.
867 Phillips Street.
Okay. Is there support?
Yes, I'll support.
It's been supported. Further discussion. Is there any chance that there'll be any other parcels like that?
That would have single-family non-conforming uses. No, that would be the elimination of every single-family parcel on this one.
All right.
I'd like to respond to some of the folks that asked about this. There's a good introduction as to why this change is being made. Right now, it's a bunch of different zoning districts that are non-conforming. There are houses mixed in with old offices and new offices, and generally speaking, that district is healthcare or healthcare support. And from a planning standpoint, it's better to not have a bunch of little. If you look at the map that's on here, there's 4 different colors of zoning in that area. And there's a good narrative at the beginning of this. If you can go online and look at the agenda packet, there's a really good narrative for the reasons for this rezoning. So I'd encourage you to do that.
Well, I think the anticipation is that there would be further healthcare businesses coming to the area, and you wanted to have them all in relatively the same area.
Yes.
Right, it says, you know, the purpose of this is to accommodate, promote, and expand the health services industry. So I think it's kind of, you know,
And for us, avoid having to do variances for a request that would come in. Staff could do it on their own.
And this isn't a rezoning, this is a district.
The master plan contains a lot of different goals, and housing is not the only goal there. We also would like to attract healthcare and technology-type businesses. And this was one of the areas that we could see as a way to do that in this particular area, and it tied in with the hospital, and I beg to differ with you. We do still have a hospital here. I don't go to Kalamazoo for everything. And so we can define it differently if we want to. And the physical therapy center is an excellent one. And they're all in this area. And I think the reason that that is the reason that sometimes we have to give up some of the housing to fulfill some of the other goals that are in the master plan. I do not agree with option 2. I think we should go with option 1. It makes it more attractive to attract this kind of business, this kind of development. It doesn't force anyone to move out of their house. It doesn't force them to sell their house to any kind of a developer until they're ready to do that themselves. It just allows the developer to see what his options are. And if he wants your house, he'll make you a good offer. If you don't want to sell it, he's going to have to make you a good offer. If we take option 2 and the developer comes in and wants to build something in that area, he's going to have to keep coming back to us every time he wants to touch one of those. For that reason, I would much prefer, in terms of good planning, and that's what we're trying to do here, recommend good planning options to City Council. I would think we would be much better off with the option that includes all of them. And we've been through, what does it do to property values? What does it do to my taxes? We've all been educated on that recently.
Okay, is that it?
My soapbox.
Okay. Anyone else?
I think just a reminder too for folks, and as our chairman often reminds us, the master plan is not a legal document. It's not an ordinance. It is a suggestion. It is based on our best opinion of our future at the time it was drawn up. I will also remind you that we have a new one coming up in just a year and a half. And certainly there are changes in our city since 2018. 2018 was the last? 2018, that may be reflected in the new master plan. So it does provide us guidance, but there's no way looking forward, the way a master plan is drawn up, that we can foresee all the variables. I heard Larry's comments. Larry's very wise, and I listen to him often. I'm going to support option 2 because I believe people that have a 30-year investment, if a developer does come in and they want to sell one of those properties, they could sell it for a coffee shop, right? So right in between 5 homes, you'd have a small business. That would be allowed. And that would change the character of their neighborhood that they invested in some time ago. So I'm comfortable if we take those 7 homes and the exclusion of that one small slice, we can still meet the goals of our healthcare district and be responsive to long-term residents of our city.
Okay, anyone else? We have a motion and second.
Option 2.
Yep, option 2. So,
Mr. Chairman.
Yeah.
I would offer an amendment to the motion to strike option 2 and insert option 1.
Okay, there's been a motion to amend the original motion. Is there support? Motion to amend dies for lack of a second. We're back to the original motion.
I'll second.
All right. And is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. All right, next up, we have commission member and staff comments. And what do we have? 8 staff members here this evening? So, yes, we did. Jared, Nick, Brad, Marcia, Travers, Griffin, Mike, and Bill.
Some of them snuck out without comment.
But we'll stick with the ones that are immediate front.
My only comments tonight are that we will continue working on here the next month or so, getting together a continuation of the workshop that we held for regarding shoreline protection here last month. So just want to make sure that we keep that on everyone's radar. So I'll be in touch with the 3 committee members here probably in the next couple of weeks, getting a date set. If it works for the 3 of you, we'll likely look to do it probably prior to an upcoming planning commission meeting again. So.
Okay, and now we're still on track to meet our original goal? Okay, very good. Mike?
Just once again, thank you to the staff. Always prepare us well. Travis, thank you for the calls the day before. Very helpful. Thanks to my fellow commissioners. It was a good meeting, tough one. Thanks.
Janice?
Yes, I again want to thank the public for offering their suggestions and being here and participating. We learn a lot from you. Thank you.
No further comments.
A lot of good work tonight, a lot of staff time, a lot of input from the community, both here and in emails, photographs, and good comments. So it was great to see. And interestingly enough, it was great to have Sandy Jensen come speak to us. You know, we've got Nick here as a lawyer, and Mary came and spoke as a lawyer. How many people know that Sandy Jensen played a lawyer, I think, 3 times? Once in Foley Square, which is a TV show, once in the movie Jagged Edge with Jeff Bridges, and I'm not sure if in Scrooged with Bill Murray. He was a lawyer or just a TV executive. Hard to say. So that's my comments.
Can I continue with the trivia?
I'll go for it.
Elizabeth Davis is the daughter of South Haven's first lady mayor, Betty Davis. And they must have met each other. They both lived near each other. I wanted to thank staff, particularly Travis, who helped me with PUD questions today about the new Everett Park Phase 2. And that's a decision that's I've been thinking about a lot, and I plan to think about it a lot more. And that's all.
Yes, thank you, staff. Thank you, everyone, for coming. I'm a little shocked at the $800,000 price on that house, though. I have to admit, maybe I need to look at Zillow more in my own house, in my own town. And yeah, thank you so much, because I learned a lot. So always eye-opening and good meeting.
Well, first and foremost, Travis, you're awesome. And I'd like to thank the chairman for always conducting a good meeting. And for my fellow commissioners, you guys are really leading the way for the newbie, learning a lot, taking a lot of notes, and getting up to speed on the things that mean a lot to our community. So thank everyone. Appreciate everything that you're doing.
Okay. I just want to say I appreciate the public attending this evening. Comments are always welcome, and it's good to hear, especially after our long hiatus with COVID. The public comment dwindled quite a bit, and it's good to see people actively engaged again. And then my second comment is, just as a warning, don't get in the habit of wanting to postpone items, because tonight it's 9:30. Next month, it might be 11 o'clock if that keeps up. So make sure and come prepared and be able to burrow through a lot of this information. All right. With that, I'll entertain a motion to close.
I'll make a motion to close the meeting.
Second.
It's been moved and supported to close the meeting. Is there any other discussion? All right, seeing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. This meeting is adjourned.